My father-in-law walked into a hospital in February 2020 and never walked out, and was killed due to a very ill-advised, toxic, deadly combination of drugs for what they had diagnosed incorrectly as the flu, when in fact he had never tested positive for the flu, even though they said he did. And I went through all their path labs with the doctors on day 5. He never actually tested positive for anything, but they lied so they could bill Medicare to get paid for a protocol and admit him, but they have to have a code and a diagnosis. So they decided to diagnose him with the flu, and the cocktail of drugs they put him on shut down his kidneys within 24 hours, flooded his lungs with water called pulmonary edema, and they misdiagnosed that as pneumonia. And then on his death certificate, 11 days from entering the hospital, they actually wrote cause of death was pneumonia, when in fact he never had pneumonia and never tested positive for pneumonia the whole time he was in there, bacterial or viral. So to just write that down as a blanket sweep was their ability to bill Medicare and his additional health insurance policies for as much money as they could get out of him for his last 11 days on earth. That was a very hard time for me. On day 7, I was kicked out of the hospital when I challenged the protocols face to face, me with the medical professionals and nursing staff. They kicked me out of the hospital with security, escorted me out, told me and my family that they would never talk to me again, ever work with me again.
Because you were fighting with the hospital to get him the appropriate care, and eventually they just kicked you out. They wouldn't let you help him.
Yeah, on day 6, actually, we worked together and changed the protocols. You can read the whole story in the book. It was really great. We all worked together, medical doctors, the team, administrators, nurses. They all would work with me, and for 4 hours, we changed his entire protocol. And he came back to life, literally came off the breathing apparatus, clear lungs, peed out 20 pounds of water. They didn't have him on anything to drain his water out of his lungs. So all I did was tell him to put him on Lasix, which they refused to do for 5 days, or told me they had done and never did, but one day for 20 milligrams. You can read the story in the book. But when I exposed that you could just change your drug treatments and he'll come back to life, everything we had been hearing for 5 days were results of the drugs they were giving him. So when I just said change the drugs, they did it, and his whole life came back and he became conscious. He was on the breathing machine up until this point, and unconscious, he became conscious in 4 hours of changing the protocols.